Risks of working at heights. There are several factors that can lead to incidents and injuries when working at heights. Workers can easily fall and be fatally injured if they're not wearing adequate personal protective equipment. If workers are not trained in using their safety harness and lifeline, there is also a risk of injury or death. If equipment is not maintained, there is a risk of it being defective and breaking, which can lead to a fall. If work surfaces are fragile, such as an asbestos sheet roof, and if openings are not barricaded off, there is a risk of people falling through. If scaffolding is not inspected before use, there is a risk of it being defective and collapsing. Using an unstable working platform also increases the risk of falling. Items such as tools, equipment or materials falling from heights onto people are just as dangerous as falls. A number of factors can lead to incidents and injuries from falling objects. If work surfaces are cluttered and material is not secured, there is a risk of it being blown off by the wind or kicked off walkway edges. When an exclusion zone is not established under a work area to prevent a person from walking into the unsafe zone, and there is no edge protection such as toe boards or kicker plates, there is a real risk of injury by falling objects, especially when workers are not wearing hard hats in high-risk areas. External factors. Some of the most important external factors when working at heights are wind, which can blow off materials and even workers; heat stress, dehydration, dizziness, and even fainting, which can be the cause of falls, as well as building movement and dust and blowing sand. Working at heights and the danger of falls and falling objects can be present at any worksite in any place, including oil and gas platforms, construction sites, window cleaning operations, painting operations, agriculture, and even household settings. So the risk should be recognized and controlled wherever working at heights occurs to prevent injuries or death. Working at heights is working in any place where, if precautions are not taken, a person could fall and injure themselves. This can happen above ground level, at or below ground level, or at a very low height. Remember, you don't have to fall from a great height to be hurt, so always be aware. We want you to work safely and take the necessary care and precautions, because working at heights can be very dangerous. So follow these golden rules to stay safe. Always have edge protection in place to stop objects from falling on people below. Always have barricades in place to stop people and objects from falling over the edge. Always be trained and aware of dangers when working at height. Always keep work areas tidy to prevent falls and objects falling on others. Use personal protective equipment such as hard hats, safety harnesses, and other safety equipment. These should be in good condition. Ensure your safety harness is hooked up to a secure anchor point. Remember to hook up as high as possible. The higher the anchor point, the shorter the fall. Always secure ladders correctly and make sure they are in good condition and on stable ground. Keep tools from falling by securing and tying them to your wrist or belt when working on high platforms or scaffolds. Make sure edge protection is in place, like screens and netting, guardrails, and toe boards. This will prevent objects or people from falling over the side and prevent injuries. Barricade off dangerous areas like excavations, openings such as open drains and shafts, or the ground below scaffolding or platforms, so that people can't fall into them or be hit by falling objects. Untrained workers make mistakes and make incidents more likely to happen. Ask your supervisor if you are unsure of the safety precautions you should take or what the hazards are. Make sure you are trained and authorized to work in the area and with the equipment. A trained worker is a safe worker, as he will know what to do to protect himself in any situation. Untidy work areas could lead to slips, trips, and falls, which are especially dangerous at height. Always pack materials away neatly and keep work areas clean and walkways clear. Always wear protective clothing and equipment which is in good condition. These include a safety harness when necessary, a hard hat, an overall and high visibility safety vest, safety goggles if required, or when using power tools. Hearing protection if you are working in a noisy area. Safety gloves to prevent hand injuries, and safety boots to protect your feet and toes. All these could save your life. Safety harness system. A safety harness must only be used if there are no other reasonable or practical options that would provide adequate fall protection. There must be a detailed rescue plan in place if safety harnesses are going to be used. The equipment must be regularly inspected and maintained and must be checked before use. A safety harness system consists of the following parts that must be in good condition. A full-body type safety harness which provides the maximum degree of comfort and freedom of movement. Lanyards are flexible lines of rope or straps with shock absorbers. They connect the harness to the anchor point. The lanyard is attached to the safety harness and the anchor point with connectors. To arrest a fall, the lanyard should be connected to the D-ring located high in the center of the back of the safety harness. Other D-rings are used for positioning, restraint, and rescue. Scaffold hooks can be used to connect the lanyard to the safety line or other type of anchor point. A harness system can only be used if there are secure anchor points in suitable positions. Before a worker moves into an unsafe position, they have to be attached to a secure anchor point. The position of the anchor point will determine how far the person will fall, the fall factor. The best practice is to have the anchor point as high as possible to reduce the fall distance. Safety harnesses can be used either for work restraint or fall arrest. Work restraint means the harness prevents a worker from falling by restricting his movement, making it impossible for him to move far enough to fall over an edge. A waist belt or restraint harness can be used. A fall arrest harness can either be the primary means of stopping a fall or be used for secondary arrest, when safety nets or airbags are installed below the work area to stop falls. The harness then acts as a backup and helps to minimize injuries. Even though the goal is to prevent all accidents, they do occur. In the case of an emergency, quick action and smart thinking is of the utmost importance. It is very important that a rescue plan or procedure be included in the fall prevention plan and risk assessment. The procedure must be regularly assessed and updated if necessary. Fully trained rescue teams must be available to carry out a rescue quickly. Do not rely on emergency services exclusively. When a fall has been stopped through the use of a safety harness, the aim is to get the person down safely in the shortest possible time. Speed and care is important to minimize suspension trauma. Suspension trauma occurs when the casualty loses consciousness while upright. Blood pools in the legs, and oxygen doesn't get to the brain. It could lead to serious brain and organ damage, and even death if the person stays suspended for too long. That is why a quick rescue is essential. An effective way of communication must also be set up. Rescuers must be able to communicate with the casualty at all times. Avoid placing additional personnel at risk during a rescue. Firstly, a work plan review must be undertaken before work starts to examine what is required at a design stage to reduce and eliminate risk as far as reasonably practical. The work plan review can identify a design solution, such as casting metal sleeves into floor slabs to make the erection of edge protection easier. Secondly, a written falls prevention plan must be prepared for all work to determine the hazards and controls involved in working at heights. The falls prevention plan should plan for and indicate where and when barrier protection must be developed and set up for openings, as well as signage requirements. Thirdly, a risk assessment must be completed by all contractors to identify the hazards, the risk and the control measures required for a project or task. It should cover the hierarchy of fall protection. The risk assessment should include inspection of equipment, such as cradles and personal protective equipment, such as harnesses, to ensure they are suitable and safe for the job.